One thing I can say about Vivek Ramaswamy, that man is bold and he's going places where most conservatives are afraid to go. So I'm going to talk about his recent visit to the Breakfast Club. You got to understand, a lot of conservatives won't even step foot, let alone be interviewed by the Breakfast Club, by Charlemagne and the crew over there. So I respect Vivek Ramaswamy for doing that. He has a lot of courage. He's bold. Let's talk about it. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments as well.
America's about the pursuit. And so I think that trashing ourselves, I think we are actually.
The reason I say that is because, we never were included in those ideals originally.
Here we go. Right off the bat, Charlemagne talking about we never were included in those ideals. Were we explicitly included? And when he says we, obviously he means black people. Were they explicitly included? No. Were they implicitly included? Yes, they were. But of course they weren't included in the original founding. Women weren't included in the original documents. They just weren't. That was the norm during that time.
Originally. Yeah. But never and not originally are two different things. Mm-hmm. Originally, that's true. Mm-hmm. Over 250 years of progress, if you had somebody who was in 1870 looking at the world we live in today, if you had somebody in 1960 who was looking at the world we live in today as it relates to race in America, we would be darn close to what they would have thought of as the promised land. So I think we have to recognize that America is about that pursuit. We're a lot further along than we were 250 years ago. And here's the other thing, too. We got to set our expectations. We will always fall short of our ideals. By definition, if there are human beings and not gods living in a nation that aspires to ideals, we are fallen. Man is fallen.
Now that's on point. That's like a biblical standpoint. I don't think Vivek is a Christian, so he's using some Christian talking points essentially. He's speaking Christianese, if you will, talking about we are fallen. Yeah, we're in a fallen world. So in a fallen world, we'll never achieve this utopia that the left wants us to achieve. That's why they are wrecking lives trying to achieve something that will never be achieved. Okay, there were atrocities in the past. We get that. But you can't spend the rest of your life trying to rectify something that cannot be rectified, okay? You must spend your time improving the future, not rectifying the past.
That's what makes us who we are. But what also makes us different from animals is that we have ideals. Mm-hmm. So America's founded on our humanity, that we can believe and aspire to something that we will still fall short of. That's what makes this country beautiful. And that's why that's why I'm in this. You ask me, why am I in this? I care about reviving pride in that nation, because if we get into the habit of just bashing that country, what are we bashing? We're bashing the last best hope that man has for aspiring to those ideals. Tell me who else has done better. I'll wait.
I don't think I'm bashing the country. I think I'm bashing the system. Mostly.
Okay.
I want to change. I want to change the system.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Charlemagne, but how are you going to change the system? What do you mean by change the system? What system are you talking about? And what are you going to replace it with? These people always talk about changing the system, but they never give you a solution as to what they want to change it to. What do you want to change it to, Charlemagne? What do you want? I believe that the system is not made for people that are not privileged to succeed, because the people that have created this system created fail-safes for everybody else but them. You understand? They've created ways for them to succeed and everybody else to fail. That's why as a believer in Christ, you overcome that system. That's why I tell everybody when they watch my videos that we're not victims, we're empowered for greatness, because once you become entrapped in this system, it's the grace of God to get you out. It is the grace of God. That's why you don't buy into this system. That's why you don't participate in this system. You overcome this system.
Teslin Figueroa, I'm sure Teslin has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do.
Now, this is where this interview goes off the rails. Just listen to the tone behind her questions and the condescending way that she's asking these questions and she's pressing Vivek. She came in with an agenda, and she's going to achieve that agenda no matter what.
I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of oppose to talking about your opponents. Let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen.
That is so true. My wife immigrated here from Pakistan, and she had to know certain things in order to become a citizen of these United States. Unfortunately, a lot of our own citizens born and raised here do not know those things. How many people know the branches of both the federal, state governments? How many people know that? Not too many people know that, unfortunately, because they stopped teaching civics because they wanted people to have a disdain for America. They didn't want people to really know about our system and how things are really done here in America. That's why people think that the president is a king, but actually he's just part of the executive branch, which is a co-equal branch with the judicial and the legislative. But a lot of people don't think that. I think the president just do whatever he wants, because a lot of presidents have with executive orders and those kind of things. But that's not the way our founders intended for this country to be run.
Well, I got a test. I would like to.
Right. Now, this is where it gets spicy.
See if you're willing to pass, because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, or political candidates.
What in the world was that? What do you mean she wants to change the perception or change the way political candidates should look like? What was she trying to get at? Just wait and see.
Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely.
So
and the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good. Let's do it.
Yeah, look at her face. She is dead serious. She's not messing around. She got some serious stuff she want to ask Vivek. She want to get some stuff off her chest. She about to unload on the brother.
That's right. Yeah. So just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Cool. I think that's important for the premise of the argument, because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard.
That doesn't mean anything. You can be an independent but still be liberal minded. You can.
I also want to make it clear these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just to kind of set the foundation.
I'm
for the
open
test.
to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great.
Vivek. Look at Vivek being self-deprecating.
Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way, for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen, to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that. Absolutely.
Okay, no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything.
Whenever someone says they're being as respectful as they possibly can, they're about to disrespect you.
And you don't even have to be. And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for.
Oh, Lord. Here we go. I knew this was going to be snuck in there. The country that her ancestors built. This country was not built primarily and only by slaves. Let's settle that in the discussion. A number of people contributed to where this country is today. Yes, did slaves play a strong and integral part? Of course, but they weren't the only ones building this country. That is a false lie that's being pushed by these folks that want to rewrite American history and say that America is systemically racist. This is a lie. That is a lie that she just said. That is a lie, and that's a talking point that the liberal, Marxist, communist, socialists want to keep pushing to put in the minds of young people to have them hate this country in order to rewrite it in the image of a communist, socialist, Marxist image. That's all they want. That's why they say that stuff like that her ancestors built this country. You don't know that. Do you know that for sure?
About 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country, and you have absolutely not been involved in civics. One, not voting, and two, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie. He was the class president.
How is this relevant? Honestly. Who cares what you did in high school? Yeah, is it a track record to show your progression in terms of your participation in civic duty? Of course. But just because this man wasn't standing around being a part of the swamp and coming through the political ranks and being part of the political apparatus doesn't mean that this man is not qualified to lead. It doesn't. Biden's been sitting up there lying for 40-some years.
So
Yeah,
have you
Dave,
ever
I mean,
taken any leadership at all on
I have,
anything,
yeah.
or just
Can I just correct a couple factual things
Vivek about to set us straight.
that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was
okay,
born in
scratch
this
that off
country,
then.
and I'm proud
no,
of that.
No, I know you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my
I'm
parents
saying your
brought me
parents
o-
were
You
immigrants.
said-
My apologies.
That's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I
Yeah,
thought I
my
would set
apologies.
that record straight.
I mean, they were immigrants, but let's
They
not
were
go down
immigrants.
the water
Oh,
hole.
no. We're not going to water hole. I just want to correct a couple facts. And then the other thing
Yeah,
is,
you were born here in Ohio.
I was
correct?
born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
The natty.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've been here your entire life. So the question
That's
is,
right.
did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did,
I know
yeah,
you played
yeah.
tennis. What is it? Explain it to us.
Student council. But I think that this is yes, I have held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
That's
it kind of
just-
does.
Okay,
Well, it kind of
I-
does. Well, let me.
No, it does not. It does not qualify you to do what you're doing right now. People have different experiences across all walks of life that prepare them. Just because somebody wasn't, like I said, going through the ranks, being a city council member, being a mayor, now while that's good, it's good to have that experience. I understand that. But see, what happens is when you have an outsider that comes in, that person comes in with a fresh perspective. They come in thinking about things differently, thinking outside the box. And they come up with solutions that are probably better than those that have been involved in the machinery of politics all their lives.
Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test
Okay,
administrator.
all right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
And I'll tell
of
you,
the land-
I've led companies as well. Is the other leader?
Right,
The
well,
main leadership
right, but-
role I played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, to bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today.
Get her, Vivek. Get her.
One of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration. Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize
excuse
for
me,
making
sir.
contributions. But
right. Well, I don't want you to filibuster that
No worries.
because
Just
that's
not
not
sitting-
the question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for
service,
profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with
Yeah,
your company.
Ooh, what you pay people to do for your company. Boy, look at her face. She was ready.
What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's
Whoa, man. Wow.
the big part of why I did it.
yeah,
Then when
it
I
was about
graduate-
self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going
and-
to give it back to the
if-
guys.
if I
I'm
can-
going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree
And
with
so
you on
what
that. I
what
agree
I
with you
just
on
heard,
that.
what I just heard is that everything is about you. And to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir. To be honest with you,
Like she could look into that man's heart and know why he's running. There's just a PR campaign. She essentially what she's saying is that Vivek is running to get clout, to build up his profile so that he can either get a cabinet position in whoever wins the presidency on the Republican side or potentially be the vice president or to make more money. That's essentially what she's saying, why he's running.
and I think you're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color.
Wow, that's another one. You got to go further to the right so the Republicans can accept you as a man of color. Boy, these people and their talking points, man, and their small-minded. It's their small-mindedness that keeps us where we are as black people today. That small-mindedness. They think that because they toe the line of the Democratic Party, that they are a free thinker. But that's to the contrary. They're not thinking independently. They are thinking along the lines of what their white liberal overseers want them to think.
And I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme.
I appreciate your
with
opinion.
with your positions, and I think you need to do a little bit more work in service. I'll give it back to you guys. You
let
failed the
me
test,
ask,
by the
because she
way.
did ask me a question.
Wow. You need to do more work in service and you failed the test, by the way. See, it's people like this is why I call Vivek bold, because Vivek knew that he was going into the lion's den. He knew that he was going into a hostile arena, and yet he chose to go there and he held his own. Kudos, bravo to Vivek. He is becoming one of my favorite candidates that's ever run for president. And I wish him well, because that man has a vision and he'll go anywhere to espouse that vision. I wish more Republicans would do what he's doing. I wish more Republicans would actually take the fight into the inner city, take the fight to the barbershops, take the fight to the Breakfast Club, and be able to stand on your values, stand on your vision, no matter what opposition comes your way. He has more backbone than probably 99% of the Republicans that are currently in office today. So I definitely wish him well, because Vivek understands that in order for America to succeed, we all have to recognize the fact that we are not victims. We're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.